Ian Hazzikostas, game director of World of Warcraft, recently conducted another interview with Forbes where he discussed the issues with faction balance in high-end content, both PvE and PvP. He suggested that War Mode was probably a bad experience for Alliance players at the launch of BFA because of overwhelming numbers of Horde players. So what are Blizzard doing to try to fix this balance as we go forwards? So, Ian Hazzikostas said that the global balance of players by faction is fairly even, but that it becomes massively skewed towards Horde in the harder endgame forms of the game. Now, I'd add at this point that many of those players making up the Alliance numbers are accounts which don't even get characters to level cap. One thing that Blizzard have talked about a few times in the past is that even getting a character to level cap and completing the casual content at endgame puts you pretty far up the tree. During the interview, he did concede that Alliance players were maybe a little bit more likely to be casual. I think we have a champion for the Understatement of the Year competition 2018 here. But what is it about Horde that means that the balance in PvP is so skewed towards them? One explanation could easily be that there has been an exodus of players towards Horde for the purposes of raiding. This may have been due to racials to begin with, given an advantage and then snowballed due to increasingly difficult recruitment for top-end Alliance guilds, of which I can testify from personal experience. Over the past few years, this has just got worse. When the mighty Scrub Busters finally went Horde, it really was a wake-up call. Ian said in the interview that once the Horde became established as such a powerhouse of a raiding pool, you really can't make them go back. He noted the cost and the social reasons for players not wanting to go from Horde to Alliance, but didn't really touch on the recruitment issue, which I think is as big a factor as the other two. For guilds, you have a much larger pool of potential recruits as Horde. This means you can be choosier and also replace players more quickly and so not lose as much momentum in progress. As a player, you have more positions open to apply for as well. It's a win-win for both sides. But is that the only reason why the Horde are also so dominant in world PvP? Mr. Hazzikostas has another theory. He noted that win rates in various battlegrounds are fairly even, with a few having a slight skew towards one faction or the other. But in world PvP, it's all Horde, baby. My own experience of this is that I play with War Mode off, but my social group think I'm mad because there are never any Alliance players about to cause trouble anyway. For me, though, it's a matter of principle as I'm not keen on PvP in WoW, much preferring it in other games. But Ian Hazzikostas has a theory that people who are more keen on PvP are naturally attracted to the Horde because of their formidable collection of the ugliest races in Azeroth. Okay, that's not exactly what he said. What he did say was, there's something emotional about looking at an orc and saying, yeah, that is the expression of my identity that I want in this game. Maybe that correlates a bit more strongly in PvP. So, with Blizzard so open about the faction imbalance and quite happy to accept that it is a problem, what are their plans? Ian believes that they have already made improvements to the sharding for War Mode World PvP, but the team are currently looking at rewarding the unrepresented faction in an effort to get them to try it out again, with presumably hopes that it will be a better experience this time. I guess that sharding can only do so much if the populations on either faction are not even close to being balanced. He said that the rewards are compensation for being less efficient with the quests, but if you keep getting killed, you don't complete them anyway. So he says if you're outnumbered, you should get a bigger bonus for being a part of that. He did say that there are factors which cause a problem, such as large groups. If a raid group suddenly spawns into a shard, then you have a massive imbalance. The game tries to correct this by zoning in players of the other faction. But let's say that raid finishes what it was up to and then disbands and buggers off. You now have an imbalance the other way for the game to try and correct again, and there will be some lag in this process. Blizzard are also looking at the issue of high-end raid groups. He did note that they've largely dealt with the historical racial imbalances, which I would agree with, by the way, but there are still nerfs to Berserking and Arcane Torrent to come in patch 8.1. It remains to be seen if any of these changes will have an impact on the War Mode experience, but I'd personally suggest that nothing will really alter the balance of Mythic raiding, and to be fair, I'm not sure there's a lot they can do about this whilst maintaining a faction system in the first place. I just think it's too far gone. So what are your thoughts on what Blizzard are trying out? Is your experience of War Mode the same as described here? Let me know, and also comment with any ideas you have to improve balance. Now that Blizzard are firmly accepting that it's an issue to be dealt with, they may be willing to listen to feedback. If you enjoyed the video, then please give it a like and subscribe for further content. And until next time, I'll see you later.